I just want to learn how you got into track in the first place. What got you started, and how did you get into specifically throwing the hammer?
Yeah, so um, I feel like I've told the story to a bunch of different people recently. I get better at it every time I tell it. But uh, so I started doing track with a Pee Wee team in my hometown called the April Park Roadrunners. Town I'm from is Sand Lake. The school district was April Park. And with the Roadrunners, I started, this was like fourth or fifth grade. I started with the mile. They made you do a running event and they made you do a field event every day that we met. And we met like twice a week. So I did the mile and I did high jump and I would do sometimes shot put. But the reason I started was because my parents, I was playing baseball at the time and I started gaining weight. And my parents thought that if I did track, I would run. And if I ran, I would lose weight. Um, which I did run for a little bit, but then I ended up, I was dabbling with shot put at the start and then started doing it more and more and more. And then they stopped having me do the running events when I would go to practice and I would just do the shot put. So then their plan of making me run, do track to run ended up backfiring and I ended up throwing the shot put. But I was really good at it, even when I was trying to do the 2 mile at the same time and the mile at the same time. But I was good at it and I really enjoyed it. And my sixth or seventh grade year, only a year or two later, I ended up stopped doing baseball because I liked doing track so much. And then we didn't have a modified like middle school team in my school district. So in order to do track for the school, I had to play up to the high school team. So I had to do like a physical test and I failed it the first time because I couldn't. The test was like a certain number of sit-ups and push-ups and a flex arm hang and like a jump. It was like the point of it is, they want to make sure that you're athletic enough to be competing with high school kids. But the first time I did it, I failed because I couldn't do the flex arm hang and I couldn't do, there was a mile run that you had to do under a certain time limit. And I failed both of those. So then I trained my ass off for like 2-3 months and then redid the test again as the indoor season was starting up. And I passed everything but the run, but then they made an exception for me to play up at the high school team because I wasn't going to be running on the team. So that was like the first big step for me that I got to like play up to the high school team. And the coach there at the time was into all the throws. So I was throwing shot put and discus and I was good at those, but then getting to throw the high school implements was a big step for me. And also he introduced me to the weight throw, and the weight throw is the indoor version of the hammer. And then things kind of just like, so eighth grade, I started throwing more weight and a little bit of hammer in the summer. And then ninth grade, I got like whatever the qualifier was for indoor nationals in New York City for high school. And I went, I'm pretty sure I like fouled out at that meet or I fell over 2 or 3 times. But I met this guy there, Patty McGrath. He came up and he gave me his card. And I ended up going to a couple of clinics with him over the summer in my freshman year, after my freshman year. And hammer then kind of took off for me. And he was a hammer coach. So he coached me in hammer. And after my sophomore year of high school, I qualified for like a youth world team in the hammer, and then I ended up stopping shot put and discus, and then was exclusively hammer from then out. So then my senior year, I threw the high school national record, which I no longer have. Kid Trey Knight broke it last year.
Wow.
And I went to Cornell, and I won an NCAA championship at Cornell.
Hold on. Don't go too. Don't go too far.
I won't go too far,
Don't
but
go too far.
ever since then, I've been a hammer thrower. So we'll start there.
Yes. And so when you were younger, when you were doing the throws, were you already? You said you were gaining weight. You were already larger. Were you a
Yeah, I was.
bigger
So
kid?
I was. If you ever saw a picture of me in like first or second grade, I was always like a foot taller than everyone
Yeah,
else.
so you're bigger than
I was
yeah.
huge up until like middle school, and then everyone else kind of caught up with me.
And so at first it's like, okay, he needs to lose weight, but then it's like, no, wait a second, he actually can be a really good thrower.
Yeah, exactly.
Like he has
And
this
like
weight for a
celebrating
reason.
my size, exactly.
So this is like if it was whatever BC, like, oh, that kid's gonna be a gladiator.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
he's
that's
supposed to be
sort of
clubbing
feels
people
like.
in the arena.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it. And that's
But you
kind of
weren't.
what I started clubbing people in the arena after that, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about the nature of the hammer throw, it's a pretty like if you think about it, it's like some real medieval type stuff, you know,
Oh
like
yeah,
you're, you
yeah,
know, you can look at it as being like a big boulder at the end of like a rope and you're
yeah.
launching it at people, right?
Yeah. Well, they say it's the oldest Olympic sport. Um, I don't know
So wait,
when it started, but
so technically, if we were back in the day, if we were an army and this was how we had to attack people, you would be like the man because you would have
oh
the
yeah,
furthest range. So
yep,
you would be picking them off before they could even come into, you know.
yep. You throw it into a crowd of people, someone's gonna get hit.
So you said earlier when you took the test to be able to compete with the high school team, you failed the test. So you weren't a
Yeah,
super athlete at first. You had to actually work for it there.
yeah. And I was trying to think. That was seventh grade. So eighth grade is when I was my biggest, actually my heaviest ever. I was 280 pounds in eighth grade.
What?
Um, yeah, but I
Oh,
was
yeah,
not,
yeah.
I wouldn't say I was in shape. I had to lose a lot of that weight. In seventh grade, I was on my way there, but I
Were
ended up
you?
breaking my elbow in eighth grade. So then I was out for 6 months and didn't do anything and
Oh
gained a bunch
wow.
of weight.